Alright, let's dive into something that'll take you right back to the 80s. 3 rock songs from 1982 that, if you grew up in that era, you probably still know word for word. But here's the thing, it's not just about the songs themselves. It's about what they represent, why they stuck around, and what they say about the culture of the time. So, let's break this down. First up, Crimson and Clover by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Now, personally, I think this song is a masterclass in how to take a classic and make it your own. Originally released by Tommy James and the Shondells in 1968, Jett's version is the one that most people remember. And here's why that's fascinating. It's not just about the music, it's about the attitude. Jett's raw, unapologetic energy gave the song a new life in the 80s, a decade that was all about rebellion and breaking the mold. What many people don't realize is that Jett's version wasn't just a cover, it was a statement. She took a song that was already great and infused it with her signature edge. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a perfect example of how the 80s were about reinvention, both in music and in culture. Now, let's talk about Even the Nights Are Better by Air Supply. This one's a ballad, and it's interesting because it stands out in a decade that's often remembered for its big hair and even bigger guitar riffs. But here's what makes this really interesting. Ballads like this one were just as important to the 80s rock scene as the high-energy anthems. They tapped into something deeper, the emotional, almost romantic side of the decade. In my opinion, this song is a reminder that the 80s weren't just about excess, they were also about vulnerability. The lyrics, with lines like "Even the nights are better since I found you," are so simple yet so powerful. They resonate because they speak to something universal, the idea that love can transform even the darkest moments. What this really suggests is that the 80s were a time of contrasts, where the loud and the soft, the wild and the tender, could coexist. Finally, we've got Caught Up in You by 38 Special. This one's a bit of a sleeper hit compared to the other two, but it's just as memorable. What immediately stands out is the catchy, driving rhythm and the way the lyrics capture that feeling of being completely enamored with someone. But here's the deeper question. Why did this song stick around? I think it's because it's so relatable. The idea of being caught up in someone, of losing yourself in that kind of obsession, is something that transcends time. A detail I find fascinating is that this song was written by a mix of band members and outsiders, including Jim Petterick from Survivor. It's a great example of how collaboration can lead to something truly special. From my perspective, this song is a testament to the craftsmanship of 80s rock. It's not just about the hooks, it's about the storytelling. So, if you take all 3 of these songs together, what do they tell us about 1982 and the 80s as a whole? Personally, I think they show us a decade that was far more complex than it's often given credit for. You've got the raw energy of Joan Jett, the emotional depth of Air Supply, and the relatable storytelling of 38 Special. What this really suggests is that the 80s were a time of diversity in rock music, a time when different styles and moods could thrive side by side. And that's why these songs still resonate today. They are not just relics of the past, they are snapshots of a culture that was constantly evolving. So, the next time you hear one of these tracks, don't just sing along, think about what it says about the decade that gave it life. Because, in my opinion, that's where the real magic lies.